steps every day, right? Let's think of it like if you see a green light on a traffic robot or traffic light, you know that means to go. So you do this check. If traffic light is red, what do? I stop. Else, if it's yellow, I slow down. Some people speed up to beat that red light, but the safe thing to do is to slow down. And if it is green, you go, all right? So you do decision makings and if every day with an if statements and elif conditional statements, right? Now, I'm just going to comment this code out and continue. All right, now let's see. In the previous video, on the previous exercises, I just showed you that you can do a comparison operator. I'm just going to quickly say now 1 is equals to 5. We know that's not true. Now I just printed this out. Let's see that false, right? However, you can save this value, Boolean value, into a variable, right? This should still work. Imagine, just think of this as the brackets in your mathematics equation, right? We just put in a bracket around it, but this is what we're still evaluating, right? And now I can say print C, and I can use that get false. And this value can be used in an if statement, right? So I can use this to make decisions. So I can store a Boolean condition and use that to make conditions. And I can also update that value if there's a change in my code. Now with strings, right, let's check conditionals with strings. Conditionals with strings, right? Just remember this. Case matters, right? So if I say print tepo, no, that's how you tepo, right? And I say, is this equivalent to just saying it's in right? Now these are the same names, however, yeah, let's just check. Those are the same names, however, you can see that this one is not capitalized, right? The output that we should get is false because remember, case matters. False. And let me just clear this again. The case matters. Let's try that. If I say print, actually, I don't need to be, just copy that, paste that again, and paste that again. And I can say, is this not equals to? What should I get? So it's going to check, is this not equals to, right? So if it's not equals to, then it should return true. And we know that, remember, case that matters. So we should have a false here and a true here, right? And we run that again. False, true, okay? So case matters, right? Case matters with strings. Now, we are going to continue with our previous program, our first program, right? Where we asked the user to calculate the trip over distance or travel that they were going to do. Now, we're just going to update this quickly, and we're going to put a conditional statement in there. So I'm going to run that file. Let's see how if it still works. First program, right? .py. What's your day? What's your name? What's your day? What's your name? My name is Tsepo. Yeah. Where are you traveling to? I'm traveling to Polokwane. What's the distance to Polokwane? I think it's about 220 kilometers. Or more. What is the fuel economy of your car? Rands per kilometer. I'll say 0.5, 50 cents a kilometer. Quite expensive. And now fuel price. Remember in the previous video, we saw that we weren't even using the fuel price, but it still asks us. So what was going to happen here? I'm going to make some changes, but let's just continue. It's no longer that. I think it's about 25.22 if I'm not mistaken. And it's saying the cost of your trip is 110, right? And that is simply your rands per kilometer multiplied by the kilometer that you're traveling. Then you'll get the cost of the trip, right? Now, what is going to happen here is I will make the change that from now, we are going to change the fuel economy to be liters per kilometer. And that is still going to be a float, right? And then what's going to happen from there, we're still going to convert to the fuel price. We want to use the fuel price. And we're going to now say, calculate the cost per kilometer. So how did we get the rands per kilometer before? Now this is how we're going to do this. RKM. KM, right? KM. Okay. So I'm going to say cost per kilometer is now going to be equals to, and yeah, remember, we must make sure it's the float and we're not multiplying strings here. Fuel price float, right? And then if I hover over this, I should get a float. Great, I have a float. Then I can now calculate my cost strip by saying, let me put a comment there, calculate the cost of the trip, right? And that's going to be my, let's leave the distance. It's going to be distance, yes. And it's going to be cost per kilometer. That's now the new update we've made, right? Now, I want to incorporate a if check, right? So based on this cost of the trip, we're going to need to make a decision. And let's think about this. Now, let's say we have a budget for our travel, right? And if the cost of the trip is greater than our budget, then we're not going to travel. If the cost of the trip is less or within our budget, so that means it's less than the, right, the budget, then we are going to travel. So how do we get the budget? That means we have to go back up here and ask the user to tell us what their budget for the trip is, right? So what do you want to do this? Okay, let's do that. Okay, ask the user distance they're traveling, and then we will say, after we've done the conversion there, ask, or, you can do it here. You can do it here. Yeah, we can do it here. Let's just do it here. Ask the user for their budget, all right? Budget is going to be inputs, and we're going to say, what is the budget for this trip? We're going to say rands, right? We're just going to put a hint there that we want it in rand, and we're going to escape and make sure it prints on a new line. And what's going to happen there? And what do we want? What do we want? Do we want to use an int for this? Yeah, let's use an int, right? We are going to convert this to an int, and let's just say string to int, right? So we're going to say budget int, all right? Is it going to be no, it's going to be int. Remember the function I'm going to put in budget, right? And let's just put a space between there and there, just for my sake. And comment step to tell the user what we're doing. Convert budget to int, right? And then from there, we can now go here. All right, now we've calculated the cost of the trip. So let's check, let's bring back our if statements, right? Let's make a decision, actually, that's right. Let's make a decision on whether to travel or not, right? So how do we do that? I'm gonna say, if the cost of trip is greater than our budget int, remember we used the int, then print something. Actually, I don't need to, I'm just gonna take that away and paste that there. The cost of the trip to this is that, right? This is out of the budget, right? Just put the budget into there so that the user can see. Let's see. And since it's a program, let's just give it like a computer is going to say, actually, I recommend you don't travel. I don't need a, actually, let's put an F string. I do not recommend a trip to destination, right? So that's if it's out of budget. Now, if it's not, do else, all right? Else, that means it is, okay, that's interesting. So now this, if this is greater than, now when I say else, right, that means if the cost of the trip is equal to this, right, this is not greater than, it'll return a false. Then it'll execute this. So what do we, if that's like on the middle? For now, let's just leave it like that, right? But or we can just say equals to. Okay. So if it's equals to the budget, no, it's greater than the budget. So if it's equals to the budget, we're going to travel. Okay. So we're going to say print. Then this is within the budget. And let's just put budget int. And I see there's a white space here. Let's remove that. And I say print f string. I recommend a trip to destination. Okay. Now let's test it out. I think we should clear first. And we run first that. What is your name? I'm Tepo, man. I'm Tepo. And where are you traveling to, Tepo? Traveling to Polokwane. What is the distance? Let's increase it to like 400, right? What is the budget for this trip? Yo, I'm gonna say 300 Rand. Okay, now let's say 500 Rand, including fuel and toll. What is the fuel economy of your car in liters per kilometer? Usually it's liters per 100 kilometers, but I'll just convert it to liters per kilometer. So a nice efficient car, I'll say 0.042. That's a float. What is the price of fuel? 25.12. And it says the cost of the trip is 420.016.0000001. Right? That's a lot of zeros. This is within the budget. This is 500 Rand. I recommend the trip to Polokwane. All right, so that is, you see how we are, we made a decision. So since the cost of the trip was less than 500 Rand, we could go. Let's see if we can make it greater than 500 Rand. All right, we're gonna keep the same budget. What's your name? John. All right, where are you traveling to? John is traveling to Polokwane still. What is distance to Polokwane? What did we say before? We said it's about 400. What's the budget? Let's see, 500 still. What's your, however, John's cost not as fuel efficient as Tepo, so we're gonna say 0.065. What's the fuel price? What is it? 25.12. And as you can see, since John's car is not as fuel efficient, right? They have the same budget. They're going to the same place, Polokwane, same distance, same price of fuel. However, John is going to spend more money, right? The cost of the trip to Polokwane is 653.12, and this is out of his budget. Now, remember, this is going to be, let's do the calculation there. That is 400 times the car economy times the price of fuel, right? So 6% of 25, right? And then we can see. So this is how we execute conditional statements in Python. We make decisions. Here's just a simple example, but yeah, we'll see you on the flip side. Thank you for watching the video.